Namaste students, myself Sunil Kumar from the Department of Computer Science. Today we are going to the next chapter, chapter number 18, data types. So already in previous chapter we discussed about the introduction to C++ and how to write the simple C++ program that we discussed in the previous chapter. And in this chapter we are going to discuss deeply about the data types. Already I told what is a data type in the previous class. Just we are going to deeply study what is the different types of data types used in a C++ program. So let us move the topic. Before going to start the data type, the first topic here is variables. You have to know what is the variables. So if you take the variable, it is an object or element. It's an object or element, and its value can be changed, or it is allowed to change the value during the program execution. When you are going to execute the particular program, one element will be there. That element value we can change any time. So already we discussed the constants. Already in the previous chapter we discussed in C++ tokens constant we discussed. What is a constant? Constant means that value will never change during the program execution. The program, when you are going to execute the program, the value is never going to change throughout the program. That is actually known as constants. But one more type of data is an object is in a C++ program. That object or that element, we can say that is a variable. That element or that object, we can say that variables. The variable means that is allowing the data exchange, that is during when you are going to execute the program. Whenever if you are going to execute the program, at that time it is allowing to change the data. So one data, if you have, for example, first you assign as 10, later on if you have to assign that value another value, means that is possible, that is allows during the program execution. When you are going to execute the program, that variables are allowing to change the data of that one. So that is actually known as variables. The variable represents the address of memory locations. If you take the variable, that variable represents the address of the memory locations. That is about the variables. So if you take the variable, first step you have to declare the variable. You have to declare the variables. How we can declare the variable? How you can declare the variable? So if you want to declare the variable, there is a syntax or a particular rule. So if you are going to declare the variable, first you have to use data type. First you have to use data type. Data type I am going to study in the chapter. We will study about data type. I will explain later what is the data type. After data type, then you have to give the space. After the data type, you have to give the space. Then you have to give variable name. So this is a method of declaring the variable. So whenever if you are going to declare the variable, this is the method data type space then variable name. So whenever if you are going to name the variable, you have to follow the naming the identifiers. Already I told in the previous session or last chapter, I discussed about the how to name the identifiers. How to name the identifiers? Whenever if you are going to name any identifier, first thing, the space should not be given. So space should not be given. So in that case, whenever if you are going to name the identifier, first thing you have to keep it in mind, it should not be a keyword. If you are giving any variable name, that variable name or identifier name, that should not be a variable. That should not be a keyword. The first thing. And the variable or because the identifier name may contain alphabets are possible. Alphabets are possible, numbers are possible, and only one special character, that is underscore. Only one special character, that is underscore, is possible. Variables are possible, and also variable means that characters are possible, and also the numbers. These three values can be possible in case of when you are going to name the variables. Three things. One is number is possible, and also alphabets are possible, and also only one special character. Remember, only one special character, that is underscore. Hyphen or if comma if you are using, that is not accepted in case of naming the identifier. That's the first thing you have to keep it in mind. Second thing, should not give the space. Space should not be given. Whenever if you are giving the particular identifier name, space should not be there, and keywords also not possible. Space should not be given, keywords are also not possible. And if you take in any identifier or if you are naming the variables, it should not start with the numbers. It should not, see, it can contain numbers, number is possible, digit is possible, and also alphabets are possible, underscore is also possible. But it it should not start with the, one more rule is, it should not start with the digit. It can start with the alphabet or it can start with the underscore. That is also there, but it should not start with the numbers. So these are the different rules. Already I explained in the previous chapter. If you have any doubt, you can go and see that chapter. You can come. Then that is, you have to study. The first thing, when you are going to name the variable, you have to follow the same thing. When you are going to name the identifier, which are all rules we are following, all the rules should be followed here. For example, if you are going to name like this, for example, result. This is allowed. This is allowed. This is possible to allow. Underscore result. This is also allowed. Underscore result 2. This is also allowed. If you are going to have 2 result, this is not allowed. So these are the different valid and invalid statements. Or when you are going to name here 2, you should not start with the number. Underscore you can start, or letters also is possible to start. From if you are going to name the variable may start with the digits, or it may start with the alphabets or underscore. Should not start with the digits. So this is okay. Then we should not use space. New space result. This is not allowed because space should not be there. So like that, some rules are there. All the rules are there. You have to follow all the rules when you are going to name the identifier. These are the different rules. Already I explained all the rules. You have to go and check that which are different rules given. You have to study that one. Then you can see this one. So here the first is data type. Next one is a variable name. First is data type. Second one is a variable name. You have to follow the different rules given. So after that, what is the data type? What is the data type? Data type, it is specifying the type of the data. Mainly, it is specifying the which type that particular data is. When you are going to, if you are going to take one variable, in that we are storing the particular data. Inside that, we are going to store the particular data. If any variables are there, means that is actually the memory locations. In that memory location, we are storing some data we are going to store. So if you are going to store, sometimes you can store characters, or sometimes you can store numbers, or sometimes you can store some other things also. So whenever if you are going to store some data, you have to specify which type of data it is. Which type of data it is by specifying the data type. Means data type will specify which type of data it is. So that is actually the data types. Which type of data we are going to store inside this one. So we'll see some example for assigning or we are going to declare the data type. There are different types of data types that I am going to explain later. For an example, we can take integers. Integers means for numbers we are mainly using the integers. Based on the integers, I will give the example. Here, if you are going to take the example, then here, int, small letter int, space, variable name, I will use mark. So this is actually the declaring the variable. This is actually known as declaring, example for declaring the variable. So here int is a data type, space, then variable name. So remember, whenever if you are going to give the variable name, space should not be there, keyword should not be possible to use, and also it should not start with the numbers, and it can have only one special character, that is underscore. And remember, uppercase and lowercase both also different. Uppercase and lowercase both are also distinct, or you can say both also different. This is one example. So whenever if you want to declare multiple variables, whenever if you are going to declare the multiple variables, here only by using the comma operator, we can use one more total, or we can use average. So these are the examples. We can use in the same line by separating each variable by comma. And after ending, you have to use a semicolon. Semicolon is known as statement terminator. If you are terminate the statement, you have to use with the semicolon. Remember, int is a data type. So it will create int, total, and average. So this is actually known as declaring the variable. Whenever if you declare the variable, whenever if you are going to declare the variable, for example, I don't take 3, I will take only one example here, int mark, or I can use one more, int t, total. So anything we can use. So in this example, take int t. So clear this one, into t you get. If you declare like this, it will create one memory space to hold the variable. It will create one memory space to hold a particular variable. So here memory space variable name is t. So mark this means one more space will be created. If it is marked means one more space will be created. Mark. So that is one more space. So when how many number of variable will create, that much memory space will be created inside the memory. If you create 10 variable means 10 memory space will be created inside the memory. So if it is created like that, and each memory or each memory location contains its own address. If take any memory address, leave the mark. I will take only one example here, t. So if you create one variable in a program, that will create one memory space, and each memory space contains its own address. Each memory space contains its own address in a memory. So if you are going to access any data from the memory, directly based on the address is going to access. Now we will take example as 1000 or 2000. So we can say that here 2000 is the address. Example it is not a 2000, it is based on the system. System will assign some address to the particular memory locations. If you take any memory location, each memory location contains its own address will be there. So here you take example this one. N variable integer variable is t is created. So it will be created on memory space to store the some data. We are not assigning any data here. To store some data, one memory space will be created, and it is stored in address 2000. So if you create one more memory, m means or one more if you mark if you create means you create one more memory space and address will be something else. So it is if you create 10 spaces means 10 address will be there. If you create 10 spaces, then 10 address will be there. If you are going to create only one space, then you are creating only one address. So like that it is going to create. So this is actually known as declaring the variables. When you are going to declare, this is happening inside. When you are going to declare any variable, this is going to happen inside the program. So after declaring the variable, the next step, what is the next step? Next step here is we have to initialize the variables. Initializing means assigning the first value. Initializing means assign first value. You have to assign one value for that. If you create one variable m or if you create one variable t, anything, if you create any variable, if you create any variable, then you have to assign particular value for that. You have to assign the particular value for the variables. How you can assign the values? When you are going to assign the values, so see here I create int t. So directly we can assign t is equal to 20. So this is actually known as assigning, or you can say initializing the variable. When you are going to initialize the variable means assigning the first value. Assigning the first value is known as initializing. So this is one method we can use. Already if you declare, you can use like that. So you can assign some value. So there are two methods available. To initialize. The first method I will say here in t. This is actually known as declaration. Along with that, you have to assign equal to. You have to use one operator. Which operator is? This is assignment operator. Already we discussed in previous chapter. You have to use assignment operator. Then you have to give the value. For example, 20 in semicolon. So if you assign like this, int t means you will create one memory space. Remember, int t if you create it means you will create one memory space in a memory. And for example, some address is 2000. Sometimes 1000, 2000, 3000 or 2003, 2004, anything. You don't know that at all. So that will be based on the system. You will create one memory space. And one address. Going to create one memory space. Then after equal to 20. 20 is assigned to value or is assigned to value of t. Value of t will be 20. So 20 is this one value. It should be 20. So when you are going to create any memory space, then after that we are going to assign. Assign here one more thing, initializing is known as initializing. Initializing means is also same as assigning, but assign means next time if you are going to give any other values, that is assigning. Initializing means first value. When you are going to give the first value to the particular variable, that is actually known as initializing. So this is actually initializing. So this is the first step, one method. So one more method is this one method. One more method, same thing I will explain. In t. First, this is like a declaration. This is a declaration. Next one is t is equal to 20. Here only one statement, but here two statements. If you use one statement or two statement, working will be same. If you use one statement or two statement, working will be same. But here in one statement, assign declaration, then initializing. But here this is declaration, second statement is initializing. So here we clearly understand int t, that is actually known as declaration of the variable. Declaration of variable. Second step is that t is equal to 20. T is equal to 20, that is actually known as assigning, or you can say initializing the variable. Initializing the values. So there are mainly two steps here. But here if you see, two steps also combined. So when you go to assign like this, so it will be created on memory space. It will create one memory space. Here t is the variable name. Variable name. Then 2000 is address. 2000 is the address. And 20, that will be the value. Value assigned to the particular variable. Remember, here t is the variable name, then 20 is the value assigned, then 2000 will be the address of the particular variable. So this is one example. If you declare one more variable, if you will declare for example int, I'll use int m is equal to 10. Once again, if I declare like that, so it will create one more memory space. It will create one more memory space with the variable name m. It will create one more memory space with the variable name m. Then it will store somewhere, for example, 2002 I use it. Because that we don't know. 2002 address, that actually we don't know, that the system is assigned. So whenever free spaces will be there, that free space will be assigned directly. So that is the example I use 2002 here. Then 10 is the value. This one is value stored in this. So this is actually the variable. So what is a variable? Variable means there is an object or a program element. That value is allowed to change during the program execution. When you are going to execute the program, the value assigned to the particular variable, that is possible to change. And remember, variable represents the address of the location. See here, if you take the variable m, so there is an address. For address locations, we are representing based on the variables. Then after that, just declaring the variable. How we can declare the variable? Data type space variable name. So multiple variables are there, but if you comma operator, so I will write here m, comma n, comma q, r. Then after that, you have to use the semicolon. Remember, all the variables should be separated by the comma. So that is multiple variables. If you want to initialize, declare, can use like this. After that, initialize. If you are going to initialize, there are two methods are available. Either in a single statement. First declare, then initialize. Initialize means assign the first values. Assigning the first value is known as initializing. So there are two methods are available. One is you can directly declare and initialize together. And next we can do second step is we can declare first, later on we can initialize. So this is a method. Whenever if you treat in two methods also, work will be same. If you are doing the two methods also, working will be same. So here you will create one memory space in a memory. If you are going to declare any variable first, then it will create one memory space. Then if you are going to assign the value will be assigned. So this is t is a variable name, 20 is a value, and 2000 will be the address. One variable. So one more variable. Here also same thing. M is the variable name, 10 is the value, and 2002 will be the address. Next we will move to the data types. So already we finished with the variables, and also one more thing, in case of variable is also possible to make the variable as constant one by using the keyword const. By using the keyword const, const, we can make the variable also constant. That is possibility is there, that I am going to discuss later. So after that, we are just starting with the data type. So what is the data type? Data type means to identify the type of the data. It's mainly used to identify the type of the data and also associated operations. Whenever if you are going to perform some operations, some associated operations will be there. And also data type is mainly used to identify the type of data, which type of data you are going to store inside the program. So that also we are mainly discussing data types. So if you take the data types in C++ mainly classified into three types. If you take the C++ data types, they are mainly classified into three types. One is known as fundamental data type, second one is known as derived data type, and last one is user-defined data types. One is fundamental, derived, and user-defined. The fundamental data type is also known as built-in data type. It is also known as built-in data type. Already the data type present inside the C++ program. Already it will be there in the C++ program. That type of program, that type of data types are known as fundamental data types, or also we can say that is built-in data types. So mainly here one is character, second one is integer, one more is float, double and void. Remember, mainly 5 fundamental data types are available in C++ programming. One is void, then we can say the character, integer, float and double. So if you take the character, it's possible to store the different types of characters. Possible to store different types of characters. Then if you take integer, it's possible to store integer values. That's the type specifies integers. Only we can store the integer data. The next one is float. Float is going to store the real values. Fraction values are there. Sometimes if you are going to find the average and all, some fractions values are available. So whenever if the fraction value is there, means that we can use using the float. Then a double. Double is also same as the float, but fraction length will be more. The fraction value's length will be more in case of double. And void. Void is, you can say, whenever data types are not there. Whenever data type is not, it's an empty data type. Void is known as empty data type. So these are the different types of fundamental data types. The next one here is derived data types. Next here is derived data types. The derived data types are derived from the fundamental. From the fundamental, you can derive the new type of data types, that is actually known as derived data types. Here mainly 3 types are there. One is arrays, pointers and functions. Not only 3, one more type is also there, that references, and we will explain that one. So remember here, one is arrays, pointers and functions. Arrays, pointers and functions are the derived data types. The last one is user defined. This is fundamental, means already there in the system. Then next one is derived, means by using the fundamental we can derive the new type of data type, that is known as derived data type. The last one is user defined. Who is going to develop the program? He can design his own data type. Who is a developer of the program, or who is a program developer or a programmer? He can create his own data types in a program. He can create his own data type in a program, that is actually known as user defined data types. So next year we are mainly studying about the user defined data type, class and object. So here mainly 3 types are there. One is structures, classes and also enumerated. Enumerated, classes and object. These classes and the structures are the different derived or user defined data types we are using. So remember, what's a data type? Data type is mainly used to identify the type of data and with the associated operations. That is actually known as data type. If you take a data type is mainly divided into 3 types. It's a fundamental or built-in data type, derived data type, and last one is a user-defined data type. Mainly 3 types of data types are available. If you take the fundamental 5 types of fundamental data types are available. One is characters, integer, float, double and void. Character, integer, float, double and void. These are the 5 types of fundamental data types. Then next one is a derived data types that you can derive from fundamental. First one is arrays, pointers and also with the functions. These are the derived data types. And also next last one type is, that is user defined data type. User defined data type means that the type of data types that user can create. User means who is going to develop the program developer or software developer. He can create his own type of data type, that is structures, classes and enumerated. These are the different types of data types. Next upcoming classes we are going to explain the different types of data types. So by here, today we reach the end of session. So in this session we mainly discussed about the variables and with the type of data types. So based on this one, I will give the worksheet, work out that one. We will meet in next session. Thank you.